Vanakkam. This is the fifth talk in this series on Ramayana. We have two more coming, one in December and one in January. You can view the previous parts of these talks on the YouTube. The last one has not been uploaded on my channel. It is there on the photographer's channel. But soon, after this talk is over, I'll upload both of them on the one single channel so that all the talks can be viewed in series if you want to go back to these things. As usual, we'll start with the chants. Om. Jai Shri Ram. Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Siyavar Ramachandra ki Jai. Bolo Bharat Mata ki. I usually begin with a prayer. And this time the prayer is from the Kamba Ramayanam. Actually, Kamba Ramayanam is divided into these 6 separate cantos. They are called as Kandam. And for Kishkindha Kandam, there is a separate invocation. For each one starts with a separate invocation. I had already shown you some of these invocations in the previous talks. The very first talk itself had the Kamba Ramayanam invocation. மூன்று உரு என குணம் உம்மையாம் முதல் தோன்றுரு எவையும் அம்முதலை சொல்லுதற்கு என்று ஊறு அமைந்தவும் இடையில் நின்றவும் சான்றவர் உணர்வேனு உணர்வோம் ஆயேனா What he is trying to say in this is, I have translated this into English. What he basically says is 3 his emanations, threefold his nature, present in all beings, be they lesser or greater, taking forms so that we can with ease savor, he makes up the thoughts of the lofty thinker. So what this means is that in Sanatana Dharma, God can be viewed in 2 forms. One form for those who have very high knowledge, the jnanis, those who have realized everything in their lives. And for such a person, a physical form of the God, like an image or an icon, is not really necessary. They need only to mentally think of that God. And that is called as Nirguna Parabrahman, the Parabrahman that fills all beings, every single thing in this world and outside this world. One that is completely merged with the entire creation. This kind of a God, which is called as Nirguna Parabrahman, is what only the highest thinkers can think about it. For us ordinary mortals, we need some form, some structure, something to see, something which we can praise, something which we can, pay our love to, pay our devotion to. And that is called as the Saguna Brahman. Saguna means it's full of qualities, lot of qualities, looks beautiful, and he's somebody who's so approachable, who is so easily contemplatable. And that sort of form is also there. So he says there are 3 forms of the God. One which is there in all beings, one which is there in all inanimate beings, and one which is there in these forms of gods. Threefold are his nature. It is present in all beings, be they lesser or greater. Even the ant has got an element of God in it, and that is what we believe as the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in Sanatana Dharma. But this God, he takes many, many, many forms. So that, why does he do it? It is, of course, to protect human beings and all that, but then it is also for us to easily digest the principle of God, so easily to look at and enjoy the God. He makes up the thoughts of the lofty thinker. So this is a speciality of Hinduism, which is not there in most other religions, which believe only in a formless God. So while retaining the thought of the formless, all-pervading Godhead, we must worship the manifest deity. The manifest deity is what you see in the temples, what you see at home, what you see in pictures, what you see as images, what you create yourself with your hands for pujas and all that. Right? Now we are going on to the Kishkindha Kandam. Last time we said that they had met Shabari, and Shabari had directed them to go to seek the help of Sugriva. So they are going in search of Sugriva. They are going through actually a big forest area. And this forest area actually meanders from, some parts of the Madhya Pradesh and that region, and then to the Andhra Pradesh, and then from the present Karnataka state. And this so-called the Pampa, which is described as a river by Valmiki, but now it exists as a lake. And this is there in the region of what is called as Hampi nowadays. And there is so much of connection with Ramayana that every single spot there recalls some story of Ramayana. And all this goes to prove that Ramayana is not just a story that is created by somebody. It is actually a itihasa. I have been stressing this right from the first talk. Itihasa means thus it happened. So it's an actual event that has been recorded in history, and that is what is called itihasa. Now, there is a beautiful description in both Valmiki and Kamban about the natural beauty of this place. You can see how it is at the present day. This is the Pampa Sarovara in Karnataka, the present day picture. And that is a drawing of how Rama and Lakshmana would have looked like on the banks of the Pampa river. Why does Valmiki and Kamban, why do they give such a beautiful description of all these things? Of course, all these poetic elements are required for embellishing the story. Any Mahakavya should have all these elements. But that is not the only reason. What do they say? They say that Rama keeps speaking to each one of those trees. He's full of anguish within himself because he has just lost his wife. He's so much in depression. And he just keeps addressing the trees, the creepers, the birds, the fish that is there in the waters. And he keeps pouring out his heart to them. And that is what is the essence of the story. So, actually, I will just read out a verse from Kamban, how Rama is talking to the flowers there. Panjuputta viral padumam, pavalamputta adiyal yen, nenjuputta tamarayan, nilayam puttal, niramputta, manjuputta, malarputta kulalal pol, manik kuvalai, nanjuputtadam yenna nagayal, yenna nalivayo. Why do you torment me, you lilies? Because all of you remind me of my beautiful Sita. When I look at the lotus buds, I think of her cheeks. When I look at the blue lotus, I think of her eyes. When I look at the dark rain-laden clouds, I think of her hair, her dark hair tresses. And everything reminds me of her. And you people are so cruel. You are all reminding me of this. Now, why does Rama need to speak out to all these people? Because first he tries to tell Lakshmana. Lakshmana, like a very sage person, he does not counter Rama. He does not say, look, I told you this is not a golden deer. This is some Maya of some Rakshasa. You didn't listen to me. This is not the way in which Lakshmana talks. So, these words, I told you so, I think are the most harmful words because it doesn't serve any purpose to anybody. When somebody comes and tells you about your problem, if you tell them, oh, I told you so before itself, it does not help that person. And Lakshmana specifically does not say such a thing. He just keeps listening to whatever Rama says. And then at least Lakshmana will be able to console him, will be able to say some few words. But these are all just silent listeners. All the trees, the creepers, the plants and the animals there are all only silent listeners. Even to them he pours out the heart. So I have translated this particular poem in English as, her fingers colored a gentle red, soft feet resembling a coral bed. She blooms in my heart as a lotus bud, her tresses dark as rain-laden cloud. Cool water, wines and flowers spread, all remind me of the one that I had wed. You lilies bluish, you have a smile poisoned. You mock and torment me to no end. So by speaking out his anguish, actually the anguish is getting reduced. And that is the important thing for us to learn from this particular episode. Speaking out reduces your anguish. So when you are in mental trouble, when you are depressed, when you are having a lot of weight upon your mind, you can relieve that weight upon your mind by speaking out to somebody else, even if that other person is just a passive listener. In fact, the sympathetic ear is the most important healing element for a heart that is weighed down by troubles. And this is not something that is there only in the Puranas. It is there as a part of modern psychological research. There is this famous psychologist called Penny Baker who's written a book called Opening Up. And what this book describes is, expressing painful emotions can bring a feeling of relief. evidence that expressing oneself is good for emotional health and boosts physical health too. If you're emotionally healthy, you're also physically healthy. So he also says why suppressing the problems and bottling it up inside yourself will take a devastating toll not only on your mental health, but also your physical health. Your blood pressure goes up, you develop ulcers, you develop all sorts of problems because you are not able to speak out about your mental problems to somebody. And if it is a very long buried trauma, it has been actually shown to, by research, it has been shown to affect your immune system. Your immune system itself goes down, you become prone for infections, you become prone for cancers and all those things. And if you don't want to express yourself to somebody else, the matter is so private, you cannot talk about it to anybody else. All you have to do is to take a piece of paper and pen and put down your thoughts in writing. Even that will get it out of your system, right? And it is never too late to heal old emotional wounds. And you should always know whom to trust to open up your inner self to. So they keep walking about like this, and finally, from the top of the mountain where Sugriva is staying, he's staying on a mountain called Rishyamukha. From there, he sees these two wonderful people coming. They are dressed like sannyasis. They are dressed like rishis, but they have huge arms. They've got very powerful bow and arrows and everything. If they are ascetics, why should they be carrying arms? There's no need for them to carry any arms if they are ascetics. They are rishis. Are they some kind of a ploy that has been sent by my brother Vali, who's banished me to this place? This is a thought that runs through Sugriva. So he takes the counsel of his wise minister, Hanuman. So he says, Hanuman, please go and find out what these people are up to. Why are they here? Are they to harm us? Or are they somebody who's just passing by? Or is it somebody whom we can use in our fight against Vali? So this is the mission that is given to Hanuman to go and find out about who Rama is, who Lakshmana is. So at this point, there is a beautiful description in both Valmiki and Kamban about how Hanuman comes and presents himself, puts across his case, introduces himself, introduces Sugriva, tells him what his problems are, and also gathers the knowledge about who Rama and Lakshmana are. And this is done with such fineness. They describe that they actually use a lot of epithets as to how Hanuman actually speaks in this particular spot, because this requires a lot of forethought. You cannot just go and tell somebody like Rama, you cannot blurt out whatever comes into your mind. Everything has to be thought out, everything has to be presented very cogently and in a manner in which Rama will be able to receive it and understand it and also act upon it. This is the mission of Hanuman, and he does it so beautifully. So about that speech of Hanuman itself, there is a lot of description. Valmiki says he is Madurai Vakyaha. That means his words are sweet. And his words indicate that he is a Chatur Veda Vidusha. That means he is learned in all the 4 Vedas. That means when you speak to somebody, your scholarship should come through. But it should not be very obvious. It should just come through subtly. And that is what Hanuman is an expert in doing. And he also speaks with the correct words, correct choice of words in the correct grammar. So it's called Nava Vyakarana Pandita. And these are all terms that are used to describe Hanuman. And there's one more very important thing that he says, Na kimchit apashabdham. Not even one single wasted word. Not even one single word that is not necessary, that is not in place. Every word is sculpted and put in place like a beautiful sculpture. That's how his speech is. I don't know how many of us can qualify for that kind of speech. But that is what we should try to attain. And Kamban also gives a beautiful description. He says that, is this Brahma? Rama wonders whether this is Brahma or Shiva. Who's come in front of us like this in the form of a sannyasi? He has not known about Hanuman, but now after his speech, the very words that he has used, the way he has spoken, he has understood what a person Hanuman is and what is his case that he is trying to portray. So he calls him Sollin Selvan, somebody who is a repository of all the good words. Sollin Selvan. And that is there are a lot of other people nowadays who are called Sollin Selvan, but nobody can match the beauty of Hanuman's speech. So we learn from this episode what should be the qualities of good speech. There should be clarity in speech. It should be brief and to the point. It should have a sweet tone. There should be a correct word choice, proper grammar, and it should give a subtle hint of the scholarship of the person. These are the qualities of good speech which we learn from the very master Hanuman himself. So Hanuman impresses them about Sugriva's case. Sugriva has lost his wife to Vali. Vali has taken away his wife. His wife is called Ruma. Just like Rama's wife has been taken away by Ravana, Hanuman tells Rama that even my king, that is Sugriva, he has also lost his kingdom, he has lost his wife. And so they both meet together. Then they make a pact of friendship. You can see that they are swearing in front of the fire that is lit by Hanuman. Agni Sakshi. In Agni Sakshi, they make a promise that they will help each other. So, this is because both of them have got the same kind of problem. Both of them have lost their wives. They are not in their kingdoms. So, they are kindred souls, and it's very natural that they make a friendship pact between them. And this really tells us that friendship is not just for the good times. Friendship means, it doesn't mean that you just enjoy your life with them, you go to have a party, you go for picnics. That is not friendship. Friendship is, you should help the other person when he is distressed. So that is the most important. Udukka ilandavan kai pole ange idukkan kalaivadam natpu. Friendship is something that should remove the distress of the friend. The friend should be able to help you do that. And that is a lesson that you learn from here. But then after they have made the pact, he always wonders. See, Vali is such a huge person. He's got so many victories behind him, and there is nobody who has won over Vali so far. Will this Rama be able to do it? There is naturally a doubt in his mind. But he cannot say, Rama, I don't think you're equal to the task. He has to put it more, politely. So what he says is, see, my brother is so powerful, I don't want any harm to come to you by fighting with him. So that's how nicely he couches his doubt, So even the way you express your doubt, there must be a nice way of putting it across. And that is what he does. So he thinks that a kind of a demonstration of the power is required, because he has not seen Rama's valor so far. He has not seen it at all so far. Rama has made so many victories right from Tataka onwards. We saw all those episodes. So many victories he has made. But Sugriva is not aware of any of them. So for Sugriva to understand that Rama is really powerful, there must be some kind of a test of endurance. And so what he does is, he penetrates the 7 sala trees, what are called as maramaram in Tamil. 7 trees, all not aligned in one row, and these trees are all pierced by one single arrow of Rama. Then he really becomes convinced. So what does this tell us? It tells us that somebody may have a lot of assumed power. That means they may think that, okay, this person is so powerful, etc. But unless you see it with your own eyes, what is called as manifest prowess, people will not really believe that. I mean, people will believe only what is in a manifest prowess. And where does this example come? This demonstrable prowess is very different from assumed prowess. You may put out statistics that you've got, so much of military strength and all that, but there must be some demonstration of that's happening. And where do we see such demonstrations? We saw it in Pokhran. After all, what is the purpose of, blasting a nuclear device in the desert of Pokhran, which our famous president Abdul Kalam and Vajpayee had overseen? Why did they do Pokhran? It was to demonstrate to the world that we have this prowess. It is not that we are going to use it. We are never going to use it in a war, but then it is to demonstrate the prowess. And that is exactly what Rama also does. This happens every year in the Republic Day parade. Why should all the arms come out in parade and all the flights go up in formation? People get reassured that there is a demonstrated power. Oh, we have seen it with our eyes. Tomorrow if there is a war, we can be at peace. And that is the meaning of this demonstrable prowess. And then Sugriva gives this story of how Sita was being carried away. So he now correlates the two things and says, okay, this must have been Sita, because all he saw was that a woman was being carried up on the Pushpaka Vimana by Ravana. These people are sitting on top of the hill. And then seeing some beings over there, she takes away all her jewels, ties them into a bundle and throws it down at them so that it will be a kind of a marker for Rama if he follows through. So that is what Sita had done. And these are shown by Sugriva. That bundle of cloth is brought and all those jewels are shown. And Rama is filled with anguish seeing those jewels. He saw trees, he saw creepers, and he cried for Sita. He's such a human person there. He's not behaving like a god over there. He's behaving like a human person. And when he sees the jewels, he becomes even more emotional. And in his emotion, he shows it to Lakshmana. And what does Lakshmana say? Na ham janami keyure, na ham janami kundale, nupure tu abhijanami, nityam pada abhivandyanam. That means bracelets, earrings, which you're showing me. I don't know. I have not seen all of those. I have not seen her bangles. I have not seen her chains. I have not seen her forehead ornaments. But about her silver anklets, I am very sure. Because every day I have seen, when I am prostrating before her, every day when I pray to her, I have seen only that. I have not seen anything else. So you can see what a kind of a person Lakshmana is in this. So this also gives us the importance of the elder brother's wife, who is actually to be treated like a second mother. Jeshta Bhrata Pitur Samanaha. The elder brother is like your father, and his wife is like your mother. And that is exactly how Lakshmana follows in this situation. This is in spite of all the tongue lashing that he had, which we saw in the last episode. So, finally he says, I cannot go and directly kill Vali. You call him into your battle, and if I find that you are losing, then I will be able to help you. That's what Rama says. So Sugriva goes and says to Vali, come, let's fight. So that is because he's got the strength of Rama behind him. But then when they fight, both are looking like big monkeys. He cannot make out who is Vali and who is Sugriva. Sugriva is somebody whom he has just been introduced to. So, and brothers also look very similar to each other. So he's simply not able to make out when they are, closely fighting each other, wrestling with each other. He's not able to find out. So badly beaten, Sugriva comes back because Vali is so much more powerful than Sugriva. When he comes back, he complains to Rama. He says, why didn't you do anything to help me when I was being beaten? So Rama tells him, look, I was not able to distinguish who is who. So what the importance of this episode is that we should be able to identify the real enemies in our battles, in our daily lives. Most of the time, we think that something is an enemy, but that is not an enemy. The enemy is something else that is behind. So we are not able to distinguish who is the true enemy and who is just putting up a front as an enemy. And this happens not just in personal relations, it also happens in workplaces. It also happens between countries. After all, there are so many battles that have been started by the CIA, but the countries which are involved in the war think that each one is the aggressor. They don't know that the hidden hand of CIA that is being played to, or what is called as a deep state that is being played to induce the war. So we should be able to really react to the correct enemy and not to the wrong enemy. And that is what was his concern. So what he does was he says, you wear a garland. If you wear a garland, I will be able to easily find out who is Vali and who is Sugriva, and I will be able to hit Vali. So now next day he wears this garland and he goes to battle once again. And at this time, Tara, who is the wife of Vali, she becomes doubtful. There is always this innate feminine sense which has inner perception. And she says, and look how nicely she puts it to Vali. She says, if you look upon to do my favored deed, this is what Tara is saying, and if you look upon me as an expedient one, if you think that I have got some kind of sense in me, I beg of you. Why do I beg of you? Because of our loving attachment. Please take my gentle words of advice. So she doesn't say, oh, don't go, don't go. She doesn't hold the hands and she doesn't cry out and all that. She puts it across very nicely. How to tell a person who's angry, who wants to smash Sugriva, how to tell him that this is not a good thing to do. That is because she has heard rumors that Sugriva is in alliance with somebody called Rama. And Angada also has confirmed that. So she doesn't want her to take her husband to take any chances. So this is where she's pleading. You can see that sculpture that is there. This sculpture is in the Kumbakonam Ramaswamy temple. If you people visit there, you can see these beautiful stone murals which are there. Many scenes of Ramayana, especially Kishkindha Kandam, are displayed over there. I'll show you one more picture of the same thing. And that is Tara, who's lying down on the ground, who's sitting on the ground, and she's holding Vali's hand and begging him not to go to war. But then, an ego-filled person like Vali does not take that sane advice. Ego-filled persons do not take sane advice. It just falls on deaf ears. So wife is often the best counsel for a man, but often the man's ego prevents him from taking the sane advice. And ultimately, when they go to battle again, Rama is able to easily distinguish who is Sugriva, who is Vali. He's able to kill Vali with a single arrow. Now, this becomes a moralistic issue. Why does it become a moralistic issue? Because Vali has not done any harm to Rama. They are not direct enemies. So, was he right in killing Vali? Was it the right thing to do? This is the question that, who asks? It is asked by Vali himself. And look at what Vali asks. He questions Rama. He says, see, why did you befriend this useless fellow called Sugriva? You could have befriended me. I am much more powerful. In one swoop, I would have jumped to Lanka and got back your wife. You had befriended me. But instead, you chose to befriend somebody who is not powerful at all, like Sugriva. Why did you do that? And then, why did you target me when you did not have a direct fight with me? And why did you shoot me when I was not facing you? In Ramayana, that is of Kamban and Valmiki, there is no mention that Rama hid behind a tree and shot an arrow. That is not there. They don't want to sully the reputation of Rama by saying such stories. And Valmiki's is the original, and in the original, there is no mention of Rama hiding behind a tree and hitting Vali with an arrow. So that is not what Rama has done. But both of them say that when Vali was distracted, when his mind was not on Rama, when he was distracted by the battle, at that time Rama had shot him. So for this, Rama also gives a reply. So what the importance is that nowadays we know the prisoners of wars have got right. People who have been killed people who have been injured in battle have got a right. We have got all the Geneva Convention and all that. All these are recent day developments. But even in those days, those who were killed were not just left to die. They had a right to ask a question. And not only they had a right to ask a question, they also had a right to receive a response. And that is the duty which Rama takes up as a sacred duty. And so he gives a serious reply to all the questions that are raised by Vali. So he says, I stand for dharma. I will not befriend somebody who has committed the sin of banishing his younger brother and abducting his wife. So you have committed sins. You are a sinner. Therefore, I will not befriend you. First thing. Second thing is, this whole area is ruled by my brother Bharata. Bharata is the king now. I am his representative. And I have to carry out whatever Bharata would have done in similar circumstances. The king's duty is to punish those who are guilty. And what he says is, by punishing those who are guilty, the guilty's sin gets absolved. So by the time Vali dies of Ramabana, all Vali's sins have become absolved and he reaches heaven straight away. Instead of going to say hell. A sinner should go to hell, but he doesn't go to hell. He goes straight to heaven. Second thing is, if you do not punish, all that sin comes to the king. This was the kind of thinking that was there in those days, and that is what Rama gives as a reason for his shooting Vali. And then, most importantly, I am a person who doesn't go back on my promise. I have made a promise, and I have made it Agni Sakshi. In the presence of fire, I have made a holy promise to Sugriva that I will get back his wife for him. I will help him. And when I have to help him, whatever it takes, I have to do to help him. So these are the replies that Rama gives to Vali. And then Vali even, so what we realize from here is that dharma is a matter of perspective. Vali thinks that what Rama has done is adharma. But from Rama's point of view, this is dharma. So dharma, there is a general connotation which everybody agrees is dharma. But then there are issues where personal variations can occur. And then you have to sit and think about what is really right, what is not really right. And this matter of perspective becomes very important to decide about the way of dharma. So finally he says, he expresses regret for his sins. At last, on his deathbed, where he's out, within a few minutes he's going to lose his life. At that time he says, oh, I'm so sorry I did all these mistakes. This is what happens in most of our lives. We feel sorry much after things have occurred. But it's much better to realize it and feel sorry at the right time. Similarly, we also think of God only at our last moments. And there is a beautiful poem by Periyalvar in which he says, எய்ப்பு வந்து என்னை நலியும் போது அங்கே நான் ஒன்றும் உன்னை நினைக்க மாட்டேன் அப்போதைக்கு இப்போதே சொல்லி வைத்தேன் அரங்கத் தரவணை பள்ளியானே. When death is going to come to me, I won't think of God. So instead of telling it at that time, now I'll tell your name. Now I'll pray to you. So everything should be done in the proper time, not after things have gone too far over the head. He also advises Sugriva on how to rule the kingdom. He requests Rama to ensure that Tara is fairly treated, so he makes sure that his widow will be properly treated. Then he tells very importantly to Rama that the person whom you really have to trust is not just Sugriva, it is Hanuman. Hanuman is the man who will help you. And this is something which Rama comes to know only later, because all the time he's being told that Sugriva is going to help you. But really, who's going to help? It is Hanuman who is going to help you. And he also entrusts the care of his son, so he makes sure that his family is looked after, and he makes sure that he is repented for his sins, and he also gives good advice to Rama. But this is a repentance that came too late. We should start repenting for our sins and our follies in time, not much after the damage has been done. Then Sugriva gets installed as a king, and this happens in the city of Kishkindha. So Rama doesn't come to this function because he's not supposed to enter into any cities. He's supposed to be a forest dweller for 14 years. He has to keep his word that he gave to Kaikeyi and Dasharatha. So he stays outside. Other people coronate him. And this is again a picture of from the Kumbakonam Ramaswamy temple of Sugriva being made as a king here. And then after he's made the king, Rama gives a piece of advice to Sugriva. This is also an important lesson for us because he says how you should be able to run the state. And I think there's nothing to match Kamban's description of what Rama said. Seivana seidal yandum thiyana sindiyamai vaivana vandapodum vasayila iniya kooral meyyana valangal yavum mevina vekkalinmai uivanaakit tammodu uyarvana uvandu seivai. This is basically an advice on statecraft, on how to run the state, how a person who's in authority, whether it's in an office, whether it is in a post in the government or whatever, how he should behave. These are the codes of conduct which Rama has laid down for Sugriva, and if many of our people follow it, our world will become a very, very nice place to live in. So what does this mean? This again I have translated into English. Act as you must on the path of what is right. Never entertain any banal thought of vice. Detractors are met with warmth, not spite. Be truly impartial. Check all mean avarice. Remember, dharma saves, not your might. Doing your duty with enthusiasm is nice. So there are several things that he has said here. One is you must always keep up in the path of dharma, the right path. You should never swerve from that path. And you will get a lot of inducements, a lot of easy ways out, ways to earn more money, ways to, you can become greedy. A lot of vice can enter into you. You can just fritter away the money that you've got, money of the state which you think is yours. None of these should happen. All these banal thoughts should be put away at the thought itself. It should not come into your mind at all. And when you are running a state, you will have a lot of people who will criticize you. You know how many posts are there in the social media about the people who are ruling the country. There will be a lot of criticism. You should be able to face all of that with a smile. We should be able to reply to them with sweet words. And that's what he says. Detractors are met with warmth, not spite. Vaivana vandapodum vasayila iniya kooral. Even if somebody scolds you, you don't scold him back. You speak good words to them. Meyyana valangal, that is, be truly impartial. Don't be guided by your own thoughts and your own wishes. Be truly impartial to the cause of justice. Yavum mevina vekkalinmai. Don't become greedy. And uivanaakit tammodu uyarvana. What saves you? It is only dharma that saves you. Dharmo rakshitaha. One who saves dharma, dharma will protect him. And that's what he says. Uivanaakit tammodu uyarvana. And then how do you do all this duty? You should do it with enthusiasm. Uvandu seivai. It's not that you're fulfilling a duty just because you're supposed to do it. You're doing it with all your heart, with all your joy. And that attitude makes a lot of difference to the person who's in power. So these are all excellent words of advice to a person who's in the top position in an organization, in an office, or even at home for that matter. So these are the desired qualities of a person in authority, which are so beautifully put across by Kamban. So detractors are met with warmth is very similar to what we say. It is only the fruiting trees that are stoned. So if somebody is very effective as an administrator, as let us say a prime minister or a chief minister, he will draw a lot of criticism. A lot of stones will be thrown at him. But the tree doesn't bother. The tree continues to produce fruit in spite of all the stones that are being thrown at it. So this is the important message for people who are in power. Now, after having become king and after having received such beautiful pieces of advice from Rama, Still, Sugriva is just a human being or a monkey being. All the monkey qualities come up in him. So he goes into lavish indulgence. He drinks, he spends his time with a lot of women in his antapara. And so he forgets his duty towards the cause of finding Sita. And actually, Rama thinks that it is because it's a rainy season has come, so they are not able to search. But then even after the rainy season is over, no action is coming up from Sugriva. At that time, who keeps on reminding him that Sugriva is not doing the right thing? It is Hanuman who does it. Hanuman is actually only a subordinate. He's only a minister working under the king. In those days, the king's authority was unquestionable. But still, a good advisor will be able to say when his chief is going wrong. So it is not that you cultivate good subordinates just to become yes men. They have to point out when you are doing the wrong thing. And that is how Hanuman is able to do it, because Hanuman is such a sublime person. It is a subordinate's duty to point out the folly of the chief. And many subordinates are afraid to do it, and they say, why should I bother? So these are not the right attitudes. If something is going apparently wrong with the chief, you should be able to take up the case with him and argue with him and make him see reason. So because of inaction of Sugriva's people, Lakshmana becomes really very angry. So he tells Rama, look, this man is not helping us. Let me go and kill him. At that time, Rama again gives a very beautiful piece of advice. He says, Lakshmana, it is not Sugriva you should kill. You should kill the anger that is there inside you. So the enemy is not outside. The enemy is not Sugriva. The enemy is inside you. And that is the enemy that you have to really kill. So this, he says, Kopam Aryena Yohanti Sa Veera Purushottama. One who kills his anger is called as the bravest of people. And he is called as the best of men. So this is the importance that is given to self-control, a control of your own anger. And it is not just anger, there are actually 6 such internal enemies. We call them as Shadripus or Arishtavarga. In Tamil they are called Arupagai. 6 enemies which are there inside you. They are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada and Matsarya. In English you can translate them as lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride and jealousy. You can identify many more, but these are the primary ones which are the cause for all other bad things that happen inside you. So conquering these internal enemies is far more important than fighting any external enemy. So finally, Sugriva wakes up, comes to senses. At that time, it's actually when Lakshmana comes to really in a very, very great anger, it is Tara who sort of pacifies him, mollycoddles him and tells him that, okay, we'll make sure that Sugriva does his part. Please excuse him because he's been ignorant all these days. And it is a nice words that Tara speaks that really helps. So Tara is actually acting as a buffer between Lakshmana's anger and Sugriva's inaction. And Sugriva finally apologizes to Rama, and then he starts going into the action mode. He starts organizing his army. He starts sending people. So what this means, this episode means is that even a person who's so angry like Lakshmana is actually the incarnation of Adisesha. He's always hissing like the snake. And such a person also can be soothed down by the correct kind of words, the correct kind of attitude from the correct kind of person. So when Sugriva sends his Vanaras, he sends them in all 4 directions. Actually, he has seen with his own eyes the Pushpaka Vimana going south. But it's always possible that somebody can go like this, take a turn and come back, make a U-turn and come back and go somewhere else. It's always possible. You don't know where exactly Ravana has kept Sita. Though they know that Ravana is in Sri Lanka, Sita might be imprisoned anywhere else in the world. So he doesn't want to lose any chances. So he sends in all 4 directions. Some to the east, some to the west, some to the north, all these directions, even though he thinks they are not likely to find them there, he wants to cover all the eventualities. So in every direction he sends people. But then where the likelihood of finding Sita is greatest, that is in the southern direction, he sends his best people, like Angada, like Jambavan, like Hanuman most importantly. They are all sent in this mission. The other thing that Sugriva tells him is that you have to do this job and come back within a month and report to me. 1 month is your deadline. If you don't come back by 1 month, don't come back at all. If you come back without finding Sita within a month, you will be killed. So that is the kind of deadline that he gives, right? And of course, Rama takes out his The only ornament that he's wearing is this ring that was given at the time of the wedding, and that ornament, that wedding ring, is taken and given to Hanuman because Vali has told him, you trust Hanuman, don't trust anybody else, you trust Hanuman. So he puts all his trust on Hanuman, gives the ring to Hanuman. If you meet Sita, please show her this ring, it will be an identification mark for you. So what this means is when you are facing a problem like this, you have to plan for all eventualities. Don't get stuck with just one track thinking. You should plan for all eventualities. And you should also, as a leader of the team, you should be able to set firm deadlines. If you don't have deadlines, things don't get done. And finally, you also have to choose the right person for the right job. Hanuman is the right person for this job. And so he's been chosen and given this kind of work. So when they go searching, they reach the mountains that are there near Kishkindha. They are very hungry. They are very thirsty. There's no water there. The whole place, outside the mountain is just a desert. And then they see one cave from which a lot of birds and all are coming out. They are all looking like as if they are well fed. So they think there must be something inside this dark cave. So they are standing at the mouth of the cave and wondering whether to go in or not. But finally they say, okay, anyway we are going to die of hunger or thirst, so we might as well go inside and find out what is there inside this cave. So they, led by Angada and including Hanuman, they are very hungry, thirsty. They enter the cave. They stumble upon a magic palace inside the cave. And that is full of golden, actually it is completely wealthy, full of fruits, flowers and water and everything. But there's not a single soul that they see there. Finally, they see a saintly old lady. Her name is Swayamprabha, who is one in charge of that big city of inside the cave. I believe in the past, anybody who enters the cave has never left it alive because it's not possible to do that. That is a curse that is there upon the cave. But then Hanuman once again uses his power of speech. He puts across his cause. He says, we are here for a bigger cause. We are not just monkeys who are searching for water or food. We are here to help Rama. And that is the bigger cause for which we are fighting. So please save us. And these words which Hanuman says to Swayamprabha influences her so much. He says, no one has ever left this cave, but because you are fighting for the cause of Rama, I am going to help you. So she gives them a lot of water, food. She re-energizes them. And from this magical place, she transports them in a minute out. Almost like teleportation, right from Deccan mountains somewhere to the seashore. So they come all the way within a second by this magical means of transport. This is what the story is. But what does this really mean? It really means that they were in darkness in the cave and they are led to light. Asatoma Sadgamaya. And they were in an unreal world. This is not a real world because you can't have such magical golden cities. So from darkness, from ignorance, you are being led to knowledge. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. And Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. It means if they are about to die over there because of thirst and hunger, and there that water acts as the Amritam for them. It restores their energy and they get it back. So this is a Shanti mantra from Brihadaranya Upanishad. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. And why does this become important? It is because the people who are gone in search, especially Hanuman, he has hope in his heart. So all these things will help you only if you retain that hope in heart. And you should be true to your mission. When you're true to your mission, aid will certainly come. People will start with, let us say, a public project. They'll start with 10 rupees of donation. And that will grow into 10 lakhs, 10 crores over a period of time because everybody will chip in because once you are able to convince the people about the truth of your mission. And this is very important for people who are in public service to remember. You should always be true to your mission. So when they reach the sea, there is a huge sea in front of them. Then they start feeling anxiety once again. They say, oh, I will not be able to cross this. I can only jump 5 miles. I can only jump 2 miles. I can only jump 3 miles. This is a sort of diffidence that grows in them. They become despondent. So they feel that they are not equal to the task. And this is what we call as finished line anxiety. See, we have gone a long way in pursuing what we want to do. We are almost reaching the end. And at that time, we become very anxious. Just like students. They have been studying very well. They have been scoring good marks. But as the day of the exam approaches, they feel, okay, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to know anything. The exam is going to be very difficult. What if I fail? That sort of anxiety comes up at the last moment. It's a very common thing that you would have seen even in your own children. So this is a very real kind of anxiety. And that is what these Vanaras also felt at that time, because they've come so far, all the way from Kishkindha to the southern shores of the country. They've done so much of huge tasks to cross all the rivers, mountains, and come over here. But in spite of that, at the last moment, they feel that they will fail. So this is an anxiety that has to be faced squarely. And nowadays, again, in psychology, we know what are all the causes for this: low self-esteem, fear of failure, anticipatory anxiety. Sometimes we are too perfect with our results. I should get 100 marks, even 99 marks is not enough for me. That sort of obsession with perfectionism, it is good to a point, but it is also something that can induce a lot of anxiety. Executive functional difficulties, feeling overwhelmed, and then the trauma of having failed before, all these things are causes for such kind of a finish line anxiety, or what we call as completion anxiety in psychology. And there are ways to counter it. All psychology books will tell you what are all the means by which you can counsel people. These are important for people who counsel, even parents who counsel their children on how to face this problem of finishing anxiety. And this is where Jambavan's role comes in. Jambavan is an elderly bear. He comes with the Vanaras. He's not a Vanara, he's a bear, and he comes with the Vanara. And he's very experienced in the ways of the world. So he is specifically targeting on Hanuman. Hanuman is keeping quiet while all these other people are talking. They're saying how they're not able to jump over, etc. But Hanuman is simply sitting on a rock and meditating. He's meditating on Rama. And at that time, Jambavan comes and tells him, and this is again a beautiful poem by Kamban. He says to Hanuman, Jambavan tells Hanuman, what is the quality of Hanuman? He makes him realize what are his own qualities. Somebody should tell you what is there in you to be able to realize what is there, what you're capable of. So he says, Adangavum Vallir. He starts off with that. Adangavum Vallir, Kalamadu Andrel. If time is not favorable for you, you are able to retreat. You know how to judge the situation. It is not that you should be always winning. Sometimes when you think you are going to lose, you have the sense to withdraw. Then you can recoup again. You can come back into the battle re-energized, refreshed, with fresh arms and with fresh intent. And Amar Vandal, when it comes to the battle, Madangal Munindal and Navalattir, you are able to pounce on your prey like a lion that is charging. Madinadi Todangiyadu, you have thought about it very well, and then you embarked upon a task. And even if it is a single task, there may be a lot of side tasks that are to be fulfilled to get along. So you cannot get balked by that. You cannot say, oh, there are so many things to finish, not just that finish line which is there over there. You make sure that you finish all those sub-tasks before you go to the main task, which is necessary for you to do. Idam keda vevvai uru kedaithal ediyadi. And if you get some kind of hindrances on the way, you don't become put off by it. You still stand up to it. You face those hindrances and you solve your problem. These are the qualities of Hanuman, which Jambavan makes Hanuman realize that he's got these qualities. So this poem also I have translated. You know well to retreat at times inapt. When things are not going good for you, you know when to retreat. And charge as a lion incensed when it is apt. When set upon a task, you do all it takes. When hurdles come, your poise never quakes. So this is what is the meaning of this particular poem in Kamban about what should be the qualities of a person who wants to be a finisher. You can see these qualities in some of the cricketers that we have had, how they finish this task. So at that time, he takes up the huge form and he is about to jump over to Lanka, over the seas to Lanka. So what are the lessons that we learn from here? It is a senior's job to make sure that the juniors are not simply taught something, but their spirit is awakened. They must realize their full potential, and that is the senior's job. A senior is not simply a person who guides, but he also makes the junior see what he is capable of doing. Because the junior himself may not be aware of it, you should make him aware of it, and that is the duty as a senior. Full potential should be realized. And we also learn what are the traits of an achiever. You saw in these two pieces of poetry, what are the traits of an achiever. So with this, we come to the end of Kishkindha Kandam. In the next Kandam, Hanuman will actually jump across the sea, go to Sri Lanka, and we'll cover that in the next episode. I told you I'll show you one beautiful picture of Rama from some Tamil Nadu temple each time. We have already seen from the Pancharama Kshetras, we have seen Vaduvur, Thilaivalagam, and Adambar. Adambar we saw last time, one with the Marichaman. And this particular picture is from a place called Mudikondan, and this is a very beautiful statue of Rama. You can see how he's He's called Tribhangi. There are 3 curves in his body, and that adds to the manly beauty of Rama in this particular, this one. And let me see if this plays. So with that we come to the end of Kishkindha Kandam.